Hi guys, Jamie Humphries here for Six String Alliance, and today we are taking a look at the brand new Blackstar ID Core V3. So today we're going to be looking at the brand new ID Core V3 amplifier. Well, more specifically, we're looking at the 40 watt version. There are 3 amps in this range. We have a 10 watt version, a 20 watt version, and a 40 watt version. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with this range of amplifiers, the ID range was launched probably about 9 or 10 years ago, I believe. It was Blackstar's first digital amplifier. Up until that point, they'd been doing all valve amps with the Artisans and the Series 1. You might wonder why I'm a little bit familiar with my Blackstar history. It's because I used to actually work for Blackstar. I worked as a demonstrator and also as a I guess the product specialist or something like that. I can't remember what the job title actually was. My friend Steve Marks does that now, and I know he does a much better job than I did. But I was very involved in the launch of the original Blackstar ID series and got the opportunity to go to Japan and all across Europe. And so I've got a little bit of a soft spot for these amplifiers. Now, I've had a bit of a browse on the Blackstar website, and there's the range has grown considerably since I was involved with the company. I do actually have a little fly amp out there, which I take on tour with me. It's a really nice warm-up amp. And even though it's a tiny little thing, it sounds fantastic. And that was one of the things I always loved about the ID series. Even though it was digital, it sounded absolutely great. So I was quite excited to get my hands on this amplifier. I reconnected with my friends at Blackstar. We never kind of lost touch a little bit, and recently we reconnected and decided it would be a great idea for me to take a look at this amplifier. This is the 40-watt version, and it features two 6.5-inch full-range speakers, so you get this really pristine hi-fi sound. And it features this ultra-wide stereo technology, which has blown my mind a little bit playing with the amp over the last few days. Just sitting in front of it, all your choruses and reverbs and delays sound really wide. It's just got such a huge sound. Now, the amplifier consists of 6 different voices. These are based on classic Blackstar amplifiers. And as well as that, we also have 12 different effects. We have 4 different modulation effects, 4 different delay effects, and 4 different reverb effects. On the top of the amplifier, we have some kind of quite minimalistic controls, which we'll go through in a moment. But you can plug the amp into with the USB into your computer, and you can use the Architect software where you can do some really deep editing, and there's more parameters for you to adjust and, you know, really dig in and sculpt your tone. But that's not all. This amplifier also doubles up as an audio interface, which I've been using it for that opening performance track that you heard at the start of the video. I actually used the ID Core as my monitor system and my audio interface. So I didn't actually use my studio monitors or my studio audio interface. I just ran the USB into the Mac and selected the ID Core with inside Cubase 11 I use, selected that as my audio driver and as my sound card, if you like, and off I went. So it was really cool that I could monitor back through the amplifier and use it as a sound device. So obviously, for those of you that want to get into a bit of recording, then if you have this amplifier, you haven't got the expense of having to get yourself an audio interface and studio monitors. It sounded absolutely fantastic. Also, with the USB, you get an option of different routing options. So you can have either the left and right ultra wide stereo, so that's a mix of the guitar sound and and all the effects, or you can have just the preamp, which gives you the option to use your own impulse responses within your recording software, and also just a completely dry signal as well. So if you want to reamp your guitar sound at any point as well. So, you know, lots of different options there for recording. As well as the Architect software that I've mentioned, we also have Cab Rig Lite. And what this is, it's Blackstar's version of popular impulse response style loaders. Although you can't load your own impulse responses in there, there are a selection of different speaker cabinets and different microphones as well. So when you're using the USB into your computer, or if you're using headphones, then you can really sculpt the sound by using 1x12s, 2x12s, open back, close back, 4x12s, condenser mics, ribbon mics, dynamic mics. There's a whole other tonal playground for you to experiment with. So it really is a complete package. Now, that's not all. If there was any more that we could add to this amplifier, you also now have the possibility for using the ID Core V3 for streaming. All you need is a TRRS cable. I think I've got that correct. And you can connect that cable with a special adapter into a Thunderbolt cable, plug it into your iPhone or your iPad, and use it for streaming. So in other words, or making video, I should say. So in other words, if you're going to be streaming, instead of having your microphone, your voice, you will just hear your guitar. So they've really thought of everything and really thought about, you know, the modern guitar player and what things we get up to, making YouTube videos and streaming performances and streaming lessons and other shenanigans we get up to with music on the internet. Basically, it makes my studio and all my recording gear and cameras a little bit redundant. So it really is incredibly cool, this little amplifier. You can also plug a regular mini jack in there for if you want to be streaming music from your iPad, so to be jamming along with. Obviously it's got the full range speakers. I've actually got this little device here, which is a Blackstar Tone Link. I've had this for a number of years. It's basically like a Bluetooth connector, and I plugged that in earlier on and was streaming music from my iPad. So there's a few different options of how you can get music into it and play along. There's also the option for using a foot switch with this, as well as an additional power pack that gives you, I can't remember how many hours of power you can draw off it, so you don't have to plug it into the main. So if you're into busking or want to take the amp out with you and play on the beach or wherever, do little performances, that is also possible. So lots and lots of different options with this feature-laden brand new amplifier from Blackstar. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the layout of the amp. Obviously, we have the input here, and we have the voice control. Now, what the voice control does, it's a dual function control that switches between either the 6 different classic Blackstar voices. We have a clean, warm, clean, bright, crunch, super crunch, OD1 and OD2. I had to think there, but those settings are ingrained in my inner psyche from my years of working at Blackstar. That control also doubles up as a preset control. So there are 6 presets. We have this little manual button here. So when you engage the manual button, basically what you see is what you get. Where everything is set, that is how the amplifier will sound. When the manual control is disengaged, then you are in preset mode. Moving across here, we have the gain control, we have the volume control, and we have the ISF. Now, the ISF is acting as a kind of global tone control, if you like, on the control panel of the amplifier. ISF stands for Infinite Shape Feature. I can't remember which way it was. It kind of moved the position of the mid-range on the HT5 and the HT1, and also on the Series 1. I've got a whole bunch of those amplifiers that I still absolutely love, by the way. And the ISF, I believe, if you had it one way, I remember there was a little cards we used to have on the amps at the shows. We'd have one way would have a black taxi cab and the other way would have a yellow taxi cab. So it was like shifting the position of the mid-range to give you a little bit more of either a British sound or an American sound. So we have the ISF control there. If you want to delve deeper into your EQ, you can obviously use the Architect software where you've got bass, middle and treble. You've got resonance and presence as well. Here we have the effects engine. We have these 3 little buttons that engage the effects. When it's green, the effect can be edited. So you can turn the type control or the level control. You've got the tap tempo as well. When the effect is red, it means the effect is engaged, but you are not editing that effect. So yeah, there's plenty of options for sounds and effects and applications with this amplifier. So just another couple of things that I've forgotten when I was looking at the amplifier. Up here we have the foot switch. Here we have a headphone socket, and this other socket here is an input for streaming music and also for streaming into your iPad. So like I said, if you're doing live streams or videos, you can capture the sound directly from the ID Core straight into your iPad or your phone or whatever, and get that beautiful ultra wide stereo sound with all your great cleans and crunches and all those different effects. Just wanted to take a moment to take a look at the Architect software, look at some of the different features that you can access within the software that aren't on the control panel of the amplifier. and also just have a listen to cab rig light as well. I've moved my mouse here, so if I'm spinning round to operate things, please forgive me. It's the best I can do to get everything on camera and to be able to operate everything. Basically, when we look at the Architect software, we can see the layout of the panel of the amplifier. As I'm turning the voice control, here you can see the voice is changing on the amp. We now have obviously the gain control. If I turning the gain control up and down, you can see that changing. We have the volume control as well. Now the volume control, there's something interesting to remember about the volume control. The volume control is controlling the sound of the amplifier, the sound that's coming out the front of the amp, the onboard speakers. It is not giving you the amplified sound of cab rig. Now, this is something that I found a little bit confusing at first, especially when I was trying to set up to record, because the sound that you're going to hear from cab rig within your recording software is going to be different to the sound coming out of the speakers. So really bear that in mind. Also, if we hold the tap button and turn the volume on the amplifier, that actually adjusts the level coming into ID Core from your computer. So you can adjust the playback level of either your recording software or backing tracks, whatever it is that you are playing over. So remember, if you want to hear cab rig in your coming out of the speakers, if you're using ID Core purely, or not purely, but as well as as an audio interface and monitor system, make sure that the volume control is down and monitor back through your recording software. What I'd advise you do is monitor through your recording software to set up your tone. Once you're happy with the sound that you've got that you know is going to be recorded, disengage the monitor side of your recording software and then turn up the volume so that you're simply using the amplifier tone to perform to with zero latency. Might be nice to see if Blackstar can add some kind of alternative monitoring to cab lights, or maybe there's a live mode or something so that you can just engage that and have a little bit more control over monitoring the sound of cab rig through the setup. But again, it's only that's just there for recording or through the headphones. Okay, so trying to operate my mouse, moving over here. You can see that we have the EQ, we have bass, middle and treble, which isn't on the amp, but we have the ISF. If I turn the ISF control on the amp, you can see that that is turning on the software as well. We also have additional resonance and presence control, which will also affect the sound of the amplifier when you're not using cab rig, if you're setting up tones to listen out the speaker. So that's all part of the preamp and power amp stage of ID Core itself. Okay, so the bottom row are your effects. We first of all have the tuner. You can activate that by just pushing the button. If I do that, there, the tuner is on. I can tune up. I'm nearly in tune. And you can also access the tuner if you hold down the delay button. You can access that on the front of the amplifier. We have a noise gate, and then we have our three effects. You have your modulation, your delay, and your reverb effect. Now, you can change pretty much all of the parameters on the front of the amp. As I said, you have these edit buttons. So, for instance, if I switch on modulation, we can see that that's lit up. When I push the button, that's lit up on the amplifier. We've got a little green light, and it's also lit up on the software. And as I turn the select this effect type control, what that will do is scroll through the different effects and also adjust a specific parameter depending on what the effect is. Obviously, you can go into the effects unit and do some deeper editing, and also you can adjust the level of the effect as well. Remember that if you go onto a different effect on the amplifier, if when the effect light is green, that means you are editing that effect, but when it's red, it means it's on, but the controls aren't aren't operating that effect. They'll be operating whatever effect is green if you are operating on the front of the amp. I think at some point there could be a bit of a deeper look at this to help you really understand fully, but it's pretty intuitive to be able to operate the effects on the front of the amp. It's just nice to have that kind of graphic display and some additional functionality that we don't find on the amplifier itself. Okay, so now let's have a listen to Cab Rig, and what I've done, I've just selected a crunch tone. Scroll through some speakers. I'm going to go on to what we got here, close back tuba 12. Select a different microphone. I've just selected a condenser mic. I've got a little bit of reverb on there, which is coming off of the amplifier as well. Okay, we got a classic cabinet. Down the bottom here, modern cabinet. If I turn the ISF control, we can hear that altering the tone quite a lot. Let's have a listen to a ribbon microphone now. So I've selected the ribbon mic. This will be a lot fuller sounding. Another thing to also remember is when you're using the USB, understanding the different outputs. There are 4 channels of outputs on the USB, and you can select those within your recording software. I've got it set up using stereo left and right, which is the amp sound and the effects, but you can also use channel 3, which is just the preamp stage of the amp, so you can use another piece of software for power amp emulation and impulse responses, and channel 4 gives you the complete clean signal which you can use for reamping. Now let's have a listen to ID Core in action. I'm going to put a stereo microphone in front of the amplifier, so hopefully you can appreciate the sound of the spread from the amplifier as well as hearing the tone coming from the cabinet itself. Okay, so there we have it, the Blackstar ID Core 40 watt V3 combo. And this is a real powerhouse of an amplifier. This is such a Swiss Army knife. Talk about bang for buck. There is so much in this amp. From an amplifier point of view, you've got a great portable amplifier, ultra wide stereo, full range speakers. We've got 6 voices based on 6 classic Blackstar sounds, ranging from 2 cleans, 2 crunch, and also we have 2 high gain overdrive voices. We have 12 effects. That's 4 different types of modulation, 4 different types of reverb, and 4 different types of delay. We've got onboard tuner. We've got a noise gate. We can even use this for streaming. You can plug the ID Core directly into your smartphone or into your tablet and stream and record videos, getting the sound of the amplifier directly into your device. And if that's not enough, we've got some brand new software. We've got the Architect software and the Cabrig software where you can really tailor your tone. You can access other parameters that aren't available on the amplifier, such as bass, mid-range, treble, resonance, and presence. You know, that's what you see those controls on the bigger amplifiers in the Blackstar range. So they really are cramming a lot of features into this amplifier. You can also store presets. You can store 6 presets and access them on the front of the amp or with a foot switch. And if that's not enough, if you're into portable playing, if you're into busking or just going away, taking it down to the beach, wherever you want to be to perform, you can buy the additional Blackstar Power Pack, where I believe it's up to 6 or 8 hours of power that the ID Core will be provided with. When you consider the fact that this amplifier is around £185 mark, so that's what's about, it's under $200, around €200. That is ridiculous value for money. So the most important thing for me, on top of all of these great features, is that this amplifier sounds absolutely fantastic. For me, Blackstar have really knocked it out the park with the V3, the version 3 of the ID Core. Like I said, the Blackstar guys are really old friends. I've known them for absolutely years. They're almost like family, and I saw the development of the original ID amplifier and was involved in the launch of that amp. So this amplifier is a little bit close to my heart. So it's really great to see how it has evolved. So make sure you follow the links below for more information. On top of that, before we finish, if you enjoyed the jam track at the beginning of the performance, which obviously was a Matt Bellamy Muse inspired track that I used to demo a variety of different tones available in the ID Core. If you enjoyed that track, follow the link in the description, head on over to the 6 String Alliance website where you can download the tab, the guitar profile, and the backing track for free. So I'm giving away some goodies today. Get yourself an ID Core, get yourself the tab and the backing track, and you're all set. Anyway, that's it from me, and I look forward to seeing you here for more videos on the 6 String Alliance YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, check back soon for more videos. Bye for now.